Holy crud. We've got golf balls coming down.
Right now on the National Weather Desk, we're tracking a massive storm from coast to coast. Today we'll see blizzard conditions in the northern plains and severe weather in the south.
Here we have the risk of flooding, damaging winds, and of course the risk of some tornadoes.
Snow and ice sending a bus rolling off a highway, critically injuring several passengers.
We are happy to be alive. We're lucky to be alive.
One of the year's best celestial shows is about to peak.
For best viewing, just look up and fill as much of your vision with the night sky as much as possible.
And humans aren't the only ones who think it's too hot in South Texas.
There's something fishy about the trout here in Texas, and weather has everything to do with it.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And a very good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Well, this morning we are tracking a massive and powerful storm, and by the end of the week, people living in most parts of the country will feel at least some impact from it. We start in the northern plains, where right now blizzard conditions are underway. Believe it or not, feet of snow could fall in portions of South Dakota, Nebraska, and Wyoming. The South Dakota DOT, Department of Transportation, tweeted these snowplows cam shots last night, warning that many roads would likely be closed by this morning. And check this one. Nebraska State Patrol tweeted out this photo this morning. This is from one of their 511 cameras near Hyannis. As you can see, visibility is extremely low. And if you look carefully, you can barely make out the 60-mile-per-hour speed limit sign in the distance. And breaking this morning, there's a significant storm damage in Wayne, Oklahoma. That's about 40 miles south of Oklahoma City. Reporter Victor Park is on the ground right now.
This was a home. Now it's destroyed. You could see the brick has fallen off. As we pan to the right, you're going to see more of the damage. You could see there was a what looks like a light pole snapped in half. A bunch of other trees also snapped in half. And just really this area hammered by this tornado. You could just see all that stuff just scattered, all that brick, the fence around it. And it goes on with miles and miles of trees just all destroyed.
Yeah, the storm is expected to bring severe weather to the southern plains. Already hail has fallen across Oklahoma City. And you can check out this photo here where you can see some are the size of tennis balls. That is some intense hail. And here's what that hail sounded like as it fell.
Holy crud. We've got golf balls coming down.
Yeah, that was in Balco in the Oklahoma Panhandle. The region was under a tornado warning at the time. Meteorologist Corbin Voges from our station in Amarillo says only 1% of severe weather reports of the region come in December. So obviously very unusual. For more on what the region can expect today, we turn to meteorologist Christina Ernie in Providence, Rhode Island.
Good morning, Brian. I'm tracking some storminess that's developing from this deepening low in the central plains, bringing the potential for severe weather today through Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, and then making its way east over the next 2 days. Mild air is coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, and that'll give us the power we need to see these strong storms materialize over the next couple days. For today, we're under an enhanced risk of severe storms, especially through East Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Here we have the risk of flooding, damaging winds, and of course the risk of some tornadoes across the area. Now, as we go on through time, we'll see this rain slide east from today through Texas and making its way into Arkansas and Louisiana overnight tonight. Then tomorrow, we'll be seeing through Mississippi and into Alabama this risk of strong storms. And on top of that, steady rainfall, more than 3 to 4 inches worth of rain. I'm Christina Ernie with the National Weather Desk.
Yeah, and as Christina was showing you, that big area of low pressure pulling that energy across a good chunk of the nation. And look at the impacts being felt from winter weather advisories to the Intermountain West to blizzard warnings in Rapid City, winter storm warnings up in Minneapolis, and down through the Deep South, tornado warnings. As she mentioned today, a big risk for down in the Deep South. That risk will shift eastward. So New Orleans, Mobile, and the Panhandle of Florida, they will be under the gun tomorrow. So this storm wide-reaching and will be impacting most of the nation all the way through the start of the weekend. Well, now on to Utah, where there are some scary moments for passengers aboard a bus that rolled off a highway. The bus driver reported losing control in snowy conditions. Now, several passengers were hurt, some critically. Ariel Harrison has more.
Remember, put my head down and brace it for impact.
Chad Marshall described moments of utter chaos as the shuttle bus he boarded in Boise rolled off the highway.
screaming, yelling, hollering, people on the ground, nobody able to move.
Chad and his friend King.
How would you feel after you got rolled in a bus?
Were next to one another when the driver lost control.
Head hit the glass window, and Chad here landed on me, and the person behind me also landed on top of me.
The men say they jumped into action, helping the surrounding passengers.
I'm more feared for those kids because they're hollering, they're yelling, they're screaming. It just rings off in my head still, even after seeing them and knowing they're okay.
Utah Highway Patrol reports teams responded to the rollover crash about 5 miles west of Tremonton.
The driver stated he went to change lanes from the right lane to the left lane, hit some slush and lost control.
Passengers we spoke with said the road conditions were of concern the entire trip, with low visibility and winter weather.
I was coming from Boise. The driver really didn't go past 40.
It's kind of hard to see. It's like a blizzard.
Both men wish the driver reduced his speed even more.
No seat belts, no safety restraints, no none of that. You knew it was snowy. You should have went a little slower.
We are happy to be alive. We're lucky to be alive.
And storms traveling across the country started in the west, and snow wasn't the only danger. Lightning also posing a serious threat. Now let's head to Fresno, California, where Rich Rodriguez takes a look at one family whose close call with lightning was captured.
This redwood tree used to be twice its size. Then Sunday night, just before 5 o'clock, lightning struck, and as you can see, it ripped the tree to shreds. Homeowner Joe Fernandez was in the backyard, roughly 35 feet away from the tree. He witnessed it all.
I saw and hear the explosion. It was an explosion. It was not a light. It was an explosion. For me, I was in shock, ran over to my house to check on my wife.
She was okay, just in shock like her husband. It was dark when the lightning bolt hit, so they weren't aware how much damage there was until Monday morning.
We realized how bad that thing struck. We're lucky that we're alive.
Pieces of redwood, big and small, went flying everywhere. This piece of lumber punctured the side of his home.
We were just talking, him and I, trying to think how did this thing got up there, facing up instead of straight or down. But that's the magnitude of the strike.
Big pieces of wood are also scattered in a nearby lemon grove. Neighbors who live down the street said it felt like dynamite. Others farther away felt it too.
One neighbor that lives 2 miles away from here, almost 2 miles, she told me she felt her house shake a little bit.
With all that wood flying, Joe Fernandez feels lucky to be alive. He escaped without even a scratch.
Well, tonight the skies will be put on one of the best shows of the year. It's also a favorite of sky watchers, and meteorologist Nick Stewart has details from Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
The Geminid meteor shower peaks this week, and it's often considered one of the best and most reliable meteor showers of the year. The meteor shower originates from bits and pieces left behind from an asteroid known as 3200 Phaethon. While active from about December 4th through the 20th, the peak will be Tuesday night, December 13th. Under perfect viewing conditions, up to 120 meteors can be seen in an hour, but the moon will be just over 60% illumination and may wash out some of the dimmer, smaller ones. For best viewing, make sure to get away from city lights. Turn off that smartphone as well to make sure your eyes are well adjusted to the darkness. And given the fact it's one of the coldest as well as the darkest time of the year, hats, gloves, and some hot chocolate will be a good idea as well. The meteors will originate from the constellation Gemini in the eastern portion of the sky, but really for best viewing, just look up and fill as much of your vision with the night sky as much as possible. In Cedar Rapids, Iowa, I'm meteorologist Nick Stewart reporting.
And when you hear Alaska, you think cold and snow, but the city was hit Sunday with some record-breaking snowfall just days after a prior storm dropped more than 2 feet of snow in parts of the city. Sunday's storm brought more than a foot of snow, closing schools and creating problems on the roads. The Anchorage police received reports of more than 83 vehicles stuck due to snow and ice. At least 2 more storms are forecast to hit Anchorage later this week. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we take a look at homes being built to withstand future hurricanes and how parts of Texas keep fishing going all year long.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. It is sunny and seasonably cool again today. Most communities will top out in the 30s. It's a little breezy. The wind picks up on Wednesday, and then maybe a rain or snow shower over eastern parts of New England and northern New England as well. The wind will be a bigger story with gusts around 30 miles per hour. An even bigger story than that will be a storm system that will affect the Northeast. This will be Friday into Saturday, and this should bring some rain and snow.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the mid-Atlantic region. High pressure will remain stationed over the region, leading to nice and dry weather and plenty of sunshine throughout the day on Tuesday. Temperatures, however, will be on the cooler side. Then as we head into the night and into Wednesday, the next weather maker arrives, and that means that a few more clouds arrive ahead of that. We're looking at the chance for winter weather. Temperatures this afternoon reach the 20s, 30s, and 40s before cooling down overnight.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg. Here's a look at your southeast regional forecast for this Tuesday. Few spotty showers in eastern coastal sections of Florida. Line of strong storms coming out of Texas into Louisiana and Arkansas and eventually moving east across the southeast. Could cause severe weather there. Wide range in temperatures, 40s in the Carolinas, 50s over much of North Georgia, 60s over Mississippi and Alabama, with 60s and near 70 along the I-10 corridor, near 80 central and South Florida.
And now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We'll start right here in our nation's capital, where there are plenty of sunshine. Highs in the mid-40s. It'll be a really nice day, slightly below average, but less wind than they had yesterday. Next, we head over to Mackinac City, Michigan, where skies are overcast. Temperatures stay in the low 30s, but overall a dry day. And now for a look in downtown Providence, Rhode Island, where it's sunny skies all day long, with highs near 40 degrees. Beautiful shot there. And let's head down to Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, where there is plenty of sunshine and highs in the low 60s. It's going to be nice. Well, the Caribbean islands are increasingly at high risk of hurricane impacts, and one architect from Barbados is using a more holistic approach to building design to help prepare weather and climate hazards. Emily Gracie spoke to her about this new approach called passive design.
Passive design is really about working with nature. So something as simple as orientating your building in such a way that you can utilize natural wind patterns for wind flow and cooling, and orientating it in such a way that you get good solar heat performance across the facade of the building. I design in a more holistic manner that is more attuned to nature.
And how does that fit into the areas in which you design?
We're pretty much talking about being able to withstand hurricanes. There's tropical weather and just being comfortable and, enjoying your living space. But there's also the need for shelter and safety and being able to, quite frankly, survive to live another day.
What other weather elements or climate elements are you designing to be resilient to?
All. All. If you think about it, we're a bunch of tiny islands. Barbados is only 166 square miles, 300,000 people. We're surrounded by water. We're at the mercy of hurricanes. We're on the edge of a tectonic plate. Flooding is a huge issue. Sea level rise. All of these repercussions of climate change are affecting us significantly.
And I'm guessing the fact that you grew up in Barbados and have experienced the hurricanes firsthand growing up plays a huge role in your ability to make these design.
As a kid, I remember, duct taping up the windows. You're not supposed to do that, by the way. And get proper hurricane shutters. And, putting buckets out in the living room and just watching the roof just flapping and just hoping it doesn't go or hoping a tree doesn't fall. And for me, seeing people lose not just things, but loved ones. I feel such a sense of responsibility as a designer to see how we can just do better. I don't want us to have to hope for the best anymore. I want us to get to a point where we can design for the worst.
Alyssa Moore also spoke to Emily about how the history of Barbados and the abolition of slavery plays a role in their building designs today. To see that entire interview, you can log onto YouTube and search the National Weather Desk. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. Well, much of the country is heading into colder months and fishing seems a long way off, but in Texas, that's not the case. Anglers are able to get out all year round across much of the state. To find out what makes this possible, we head to meteorologist Chicago Windler in Austin, Texas.
There's something fishy about the trout here in Texas, and weather has everything to do with it. They just don't like how hot it gets. Inside this storage tank, hundreds of rainbow trout finish a long journey. It starts in Missouri, goes to the A.E. Wood State Fish Hatchery in San Marcos, and ends at South Llano River State Park in Junction, population 2451.
The moniker for the city is the land of living waters, and you can see why out here.
Here and at lakes and rivers across Texas, trout stocking is underway.
It's 100 to 200 sites around the state. We stock about 350,000 trout throughout the season.
You can bag with 5 a day, and if you're in a Texas state park, you actually do not need a fishing license. You can come in, take care of your entry fee, and we can even loan you the tackle to come out and fish for these rainbow trout.
So oxygen's sitting at about 7.8 right now. And the temperature is 18.1 degrees.
Hatchery biologist David Prangnell says that 64 degrees Fahrenheit is safely below the 72-degree threshold for trout to survive.
So the water is cool enough in winter to sustain these populations, but it's purely a put-and-take fishery. So we put the fish in there, assuming they're going to be caught before it warms up again in summer.
It didn't take long for Troy Seawald and his daughter Delaney to reel in dinner.
They're pretty good eating. They're up there on the top, I'd say probably catfish and then trout.
And although the trout aren't native, they do adjust quickly and offer anglers a fun winter opportunity.
You know what they say, even a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work.
Shoot it out. In my case, a bad day of fishing at work and a new understanding of how Texas Parks and Wildlife provides supply to meet the demand for winter fishing.
It's just been like a daddy-daughter thing that we've done. I like the memories that I make. There's been a lot of funny memories that we made. That's why I do it.
Across the country, the National Fish Hatchery System stocked over 100 million aquatic species last year, including trout. In Junction, Texas, I'm Chicago Windler for the National Weather Desk.
And there are many national parks across the country, and although we don't always have the time to get there in person, with today's technology, you can enjoy them right from the comfort of your home. Let's head over to meteorologist Theron Zahn in Seattle, Washington to explain.
Visiting one of our great national parks during the winter can be a bit difficult, but you can visit virtually thanks to their great webcams. Boy, the National Park Service sure does have some great cams. You can also plan your visit ahead, so you can see here on this camera, which happens to be at Mount Rainier National Park, the condition of the road up to the visitor center. You can also see just how busy that visitor center happens to be, how many cars in the parking lot. You can even make out some of the hikers that are heading up on some of those snowy trails, and most importantly, get an idea of the views. Right now, the mountain's a bit obscured in this camera view, but you can see a couple of those hikers up there and also some people playing in the snow. Now, if you plan on going to a national park, be sure to check out those webcams first so you get an idea of what you'll find once you get there.
You've probably seen a rainbow, but have you ever seen a fog bow? Yeah, have you ever even heard of a fog bow? Well, to explain what it is, let's head to meteorologist Alan Seals in Mobile, Alabama.
It has been a really warm December on the Gulf Coast, and in Mobile, Alabama and surrounding communities, it has been a foggy December. Fog, it's a cloud that sits on the ground, little teeny tiny droplets of water suspended in the air. And that's a photo from Michael Murdow in downtown Mobile, sent to us via Chime In. Just like this photo, which also shows fog, but look at it a little more closely. This was at Gulf State Park on an early morning, and that photo from Milton Riddlemeyer sent via Chime In shows A fog bow. Can you see it? It is just what it sounds like. The cousin of a rainbow, where the sun begins to appear, you can start to see your shadow, and in the direction of your shadow, if the sun is low enough, you can see that arc in the fog. Typically, it's white, and sometimes it has a bluish tint to it, but it doesn't have a lot of color because the water droplets in fog are really tiny compared to water droplets in rain. I'm meteorologist Alan Seals.
Well, snow has been in the headlines this week, so that got us in the mood to see a little bit of snow and maybe some ski slopes. Let's take a look right now at Maple Ski Ridge in Schenectady, New York.
Well, good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. Quiet across the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley, but we've got a lot of rain, windy conditions, and then also snow moving in to the western portions of the Midwest here. Now, heading into the day tomorrow, that snow will still be persistent across the north. Rain continues to move its way closer to the Ohio Valley, and still some snow to the north on Thursday with still some rain across the Ohio Valley. It gets a lot colder heading into the end of the week.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're waking up to 30s up in Amarillo, about 50s from Oklahoma. Very warm from Oklahoma all the way down into South Texas, where temperatures into the 70s. It's because of a Pacific cold front that's pushing through the region, bringing storms to Arkansas, Louisiana, back out to East Texas. A nice breeze back out across the region. It'll get breezy. Temperatures today will cool down across the northern half, warm up across the southern half. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. We've got temperatures 10 to 20 degrees below average, into the low 30s, barely above freezing in places in the Southwest for highs. But as we look at what's happening, we've got the snow gradually tapering off from west to east on our Tuesday, and expect still another foot of snow around parts of the Rockies. That's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Southern New England gets its first measurable snowfall of the season this past weekend. Rhode Island meteorologist R.J. Heim says an Alberta clipper was quickly working its way from Canada, transfer that energy into a coastal storm system in development. This soft rollout of a winter weather wonderland was the result, and one local viewer captured the falling flakes on camera.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.
And now let's take a look at some of the awesome content we get from our viewers. Maybe you'll see your photo here if you submit. Take a look at this. Let's start out in Kalamazoo, Michigan. This photographer says this is something that only happens in Michigan, where a little snowfall doesn't stop folks from, well, cutting the grass. And now on to Arkansas, in this vista during a fall hike at a state park. Believe it or not, the weather is acting like it's still fall in some parts of the country with all that color. And we end with this vibrant sunset in Utah. This one was taken with a smartphone, and boy, is it a beauty. Remember, we'd love you to share all your weather content, and we'd like to share right here on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search at National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Tomorrow we'll continue tracking that storm as it moves east. Make it a great Tuesday, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.